Hey, it's Bill Gross with my weekly real estate market update. And today, we know that the real estate market is cooling off a bit. It's still very warm to the touch, is the way I would describe it, not red hot like it was 6 months ago. But beware the news industry looking for dramatic stories, even when they provide data and charts, even from trusted sources. That data can be very misleading. And let's dig into that a little bit today. We had last week a historic change in the economy. In my lifetime, in my career of 36 years, we've only had two occasions where GDP dropped, the gross domestic product, or think about this as the total production of our economy, has only dropped in 2 quarters of my lifetime. One was the global pandemic 2 years ago, where initially it dropped that first quarter and then recovered ever since. So even in the second and third months, the economy grew. And also during one of the Gulf Wars in that quarter, because of the war, business stopped, but it recovered right away. Last month, seemingly out of the blue, the economy dropped 1.4%. And I think this has significant impact. I'm not still sure what it means, but it's not good. It can't be good. And it will have significant impact in all of our markets. It might cool off interest rates, which would help the real estate market perhaps. It might cool demand for houses a bit more. But as we are right now, we know that pending home sales dropped 1.2% last month. So it's not significant, but a slight cooling off. Or maybe we're headed towards a nice soft landing back to a normal market. But the real estate industry, if you follow me at all, has been continuously inaccurate, less accurate than the news of politics, for example. If you're one of those people who thinks the news is either too right or too left, I assure you in real estate, it's even worse. And the sources that you should rely on are even less reliable. Let me show you an example of that. Now, I am a real estate agent, and as such, I belong to the California Association of Realtors. And in addition to that, I belong to the National Association of Realtors. And overall, I think the National Association does a really good job as a real estate agent in defending our industry, as well as, I think, promoting home ownership. Recent article in Realtor Magazine talked about the calmer market ahead. And so it describes some accurate things. I think that the market will cool off a bit. It's still very hot, blah, blah, blah. And there's this chart in there that was really eye-opening. And this is a political football that's being hit by both sides. First-time buyer share decreasing. You might think that sounds troubling. If people can't buy homes, first-time buyers, what are we going to do? What happens to the economy? What if my kids can't buy a house? So you can imagine the emotion behind that concern. And you look at the graph and go, wow, it dropped from all the way at the top to almost all the way in the bottom. Is that significant? And so let me just break out the chart here a little more specifically and show you. It went from 33% a year ago to about 27%, notably higher than 26 2 months ago in January 2022. So is this a trend line? Is this a sign of catastrophe coming up? I think not. I think when you dig a little deeper into the numbers behind that chart, you're going to find that the numbers are not as bad as you might think. Let's take a look at the numbers. Let me see. I'm going to change this graph out and let me bring up. So when you look at the numbers, this technology is getting the better of me. So if I was to lay out for you the numbers, the way they present them, this is them on from 35 down to 27%. If I took the same data and just plot in a graph that shows from 35 to 0%. Now, I don't know about you, but I look at that and go, doesn't look very significant to me. Then I plot the same graph, 0 to 100. Now, at some point in time, all homes are bought by first-time home buyers. And maybe my graphing technique isn't good, so you might eliminate this piece here. But notice, during the time period presented, it went from here, somewhere between 20 and 40, to here, somewhere between 20 and 40. And certainly this does not look like a trend line, maybe slightly lower over time. But this is just a 1-year period during a global pandemic. That can have a lot of impact as people have moved maybe more older people moved and less young people moved because the younger people might have been working for online companies as a theory maybe. I don't know, but here's what I want to say. This graph isn't nearly as scary as the one that was presented to us when we started the process. And so I think that's important that we look at data, and this is from the National Association of Realtors, which generally is a very trusted source of data. But even their magazine feels like they have to edit the data to make it look scary and emotional and political, I think, to get people to read and click and talk about it and share it rather than really inform the public. And one of the things that I've learned is none of the news industry is here to inform the public. I'm a real estate broker. My goal is to educate you to make you a better customer so when we work together, we can both be more effective. I'm not selling you an advertisement. I'm not selling you a membership. But if you have a house to sell, I'd love to help you with that. If you're looking to buy a house, I'd love to help you with that. So at the end of the day, what does all this mean? Well, I always say look at the data and be careful with it. If you have questions on it, reach out to me. But what's clear is the market is cooling down from red hot to still very warm. We still have multiple offers, but this is also peak spring buying season. So we have a very healthy market right now that looks like it's going to continue. However, rates have jumped up. The economy showed a kind of a crazy drop in gross domestic product. So we've got to pay attention to these factors and make sure we don't make any silly mistakes. So what do we do to protect ourselves? If we're selling a house, get on the market now. I see way too many sellers waiting for something to happen. And just in the last 30, 60 days, they might be waiting for that buyer to have too high a mortgage payment or prices to go up too much for them to consider buying. So if you have to sell, I say get on the market right away. More importantly, if you're looking to buy a house, you make sure you lock in the rate and know what the rate really is going to be. And remember, over time, if rates go up and down, you can always refinance when they're down and lock in the new lower rate. And that's what home buyers did for the last 15, 20 years or so. So if I can help you at all, let me know. I'm Bill Gross, the LA Probate expert. My contact info is down below. And as always, make this week your best week ever. Thanks.